been getting a lot of questions in recent years about weed control in between cuttings and alfalfa. And most times we are primarily concerned with winter annual weeds, and alfalfa will come in the wintertime and either lay something down in the fall, late in the fall or early in the spring, and take care of the winter annual weeds. And then after that, we don't really have to worry about weed control. But more recently, we've started to see more problems with things like green foxtail, lamb's quarters pigweed, and second, third cuttings. And so we've started to do some work to try to figure out some options to control weeds in those settings. So we are in Franklin, Idaho right now, just across the border from Utah. And here we've got a trial looking at two products, a real simple trial. Two products that don't have labels yet but for this application, but they soon will. And so I wanted to just show you a little bit about what we're seeing here. It's harvest day, and after today we won't be able to see these treatments anymore. So here we go. So in this trial, we came in right after first cutting and made these applications. The alfalfa had not regrown much at all. There was actually a heavy weevil infestation that was pretty much eating it off to the point that there was really nothing there. The weeds were up. The buckwheat was about, the buckwheat was dense, and it had been cut off by the swather, first cutting, and there were about 1 inch tall green foxtail that had begun to grow at the time of application. So the first plot that we're going to look at, and this is right up at the time of second cutting, this is the untreated check that I'm standing in right now. And if we look down at the canopy and kind of peel things away, you'll get a feel for the weed pressure that we're dealing with. And this is a really, really good weed population, something that a weed scientist gets pretty excited about because it's a nice uniform weed patch. But here we have it. This is, you see the grass, that's green foxtail. You look in there a bit further, you'll see a whole bunch of buckwheat that's there, but the weed pressure is just really, really, really heavy in this field. So this is the untreated check. This is what we compare everything to. So now let's go look at some of the treatments. So the first one we want to look at is Linux or Linuron. This is a product that does not yet have a label in alfalfa, but it soon will have. And here, take a look. So peel the canopy back, and you'll see that it did a really, really, really nice job on most of the weeds. You'll see some really small foxtail starting to come again, but the weed population of those has been reduced dramatically compared to what it was. The buckwheat is almost completely gone. That's Linux. That's 24 ounces, and we went with a really high rate because we were trying to see if there was injury, and there was not. Okay, the next treatment we're going to look at is Velpar. Velpar in between cuttings, applied with a ground rig. And again, there's no label for this at the moment, but there probably will be. And so here is what we're going to look at here. Let's peel back the canopy and take a look. And you'll see again, did a really nice job. The buckwheat in this plot and all of the plot is probably 3 to 4 inches tall at the time of application, and chemical was able to take it down. It also did a really nice job on the foxtail as well. But again, no alfalfa injury of note. A little bit of yellowing early on, just like the Linux, and by later on, it had outgrown it. No real issues, and it seems like we are going to be able to get this on. This is 1 pint of Velpar. So right next door to that is the 2x rate of that. So this is 2 pints of Velpar immediately after first cutting. And again, injury was really nothing to be concerned about. If we kind of peel back the canopy here, take a look at the weed control, it did a really nice job. So it does seem that Velpar is safer than we thought in between cuttings, and seems to perhaps have some application there. And then let's just kind of step over here next door. This is going to be another untreated check, just to reaffirm the weed pressure, and we peel that back, and again you'll just see the buckwheat, green foxtail, lots and lots of weeds. But really, both the herbicides that we looked at in this trial tended to do a pretty nice job. So Gramoxone or paraquat has long been a standard herbicide for use in alfalfa weed management. We primarily use it in the dormant part of the year when the alfalfa is just starting to break dormancy. We're going to have some weeds present at that time, and our residual herbicides like Velpar and Metribuzin and Prowl are going to struggle with any emerged weeds. And so the Gramoxone tank mix with one of these soil residual herbicides can burn down the existing vegetation, and then the soil residual herbicide can carry that control on into the season. Now, that's all fine and dandy, but within the past year, came down from the EPA that there's some more stringent requirements on the use of Gramoxone. It's a dangerous chemical. It's a restricted use pesticide. It's got the skull and crossbones. It's poisonous, and there have been people killed from ingesting it. And so, as a result, there have been a few things put in place to help to try to protect people. And one of those is that this chemical is now required to be in a closed system, which means that it won't be available in a 2.5 gallon jug with a screw-on lid, because they don't want people to come into contact with it during the mixing and loading process. And so that's gonna really limit you if you don't have access to one of those on your sprayer. The other thing is that in order to handle this product, you need to have special training, complete a course, and have certification in order to do it. And so in light of these restrictions and these barriers that are now put in place, it's pretty likely that more and more people are going to be interested in options other than Gramoxone to burn down existing vegetation with the soil applied dormant herbicides in alfalfa. And so that's the purpose of this trial. And so in this trial, we are looking at Gramoxone compared to AIM and Sharpen. All three are burn downs. They all have, they're all just a little bit different from each other, but we wanted to step out and control, or step out and take a look at these herbicides side by side, so that in the event that we someday don't have the option to use Gramoxone, that we know what we can plug in order to get the job done. So this trial was conducted on my own farm that you see behind me. The reason that I hosted it on my own farm is earlier this year it was unknown whether the university would shut down and not allow research to be done on campus. And so if we had a stay-at-home order in this era of COVID-19, I could always stay home and collect data on the trial on my own place. So it was done here. It was done As we were just coming out of dormancy, it's currently July, and that means that that trial is now long gone. And so we're going to have to shift over to some still photographs from the time when the trial was in, and we can try to learn something from it. Okay, can everybody see that? Can you see that, Grant?
Yep, we got it.
Bingo, bingo. Okay, so this is the trial, and this is just coming out of dormancy. The alfalfa was about 2 inches tall when it was sprayed, and this photograph was taken 1 week after application. So 2-inch alfalfa, that's kind of on the borderline where we labels will say these need to go on before that. And so we kind of pushed the envelope as far as we could. And this is what we have. But a very visual trial for those people who like instant gratification. If you spray these types of products, you know you had chemical in the spray tank when you come back in a couple of days and check these out. So all of the treatments that you can see they're checkerboarded. All these plots were 10 feet wide by 30 feet long, 4 replications. As you go from here up to there, you get the additional replications. And I thought we just walk through each of these just like we were out in the field together and see what we have learned. I ought to mention that all of these treatments included methylated seed oil and ammonium sulfate just to try to heat it up as much as we possibly could. So here is this area here that I'm outlining with my arrow. That's showing the untreated check, 10 feet wide, 30 feet long. It's centered on those stakes. And so this is what the alfalfa looked like if we didn't spray anything at all. Right next to it, in that area, this is the Gramoxone 3, the 3-pound formulation of Gramoxone at 0.7 pints per acre 1 week after application. You can see that it kind of yellowed it, and yeah, that's about it. What we're comparing here on the right is the 0.7 pint rate, and on the left is going to be your 2x rate of that, a 1.35 pint rate. And as you look across both of those plots, you'll notice that there's not a whole lot of rate response. Looks like the low rate and the high rate caused equal injury to the alfalfa. The next comparison is that high rate of Gramoxone versus a low rate, a 1.25 ounce rate of AIM. And you can see that AIM is much hotter in terms of what it does to alfalfa than Gramoxone is. Main difference between AIM and Sharpen versus Gramoxone is Gramoxone has activity on grasses in addition to broadleaves, whereas AIM and Sharpen are both broadleaf only products. This is a comparison of the 1.25 ounce rate of AIM that we just looked at versus the 2.5, and there's really no significant difference between the two. Now here we have Sharpen on the right, AIM on the right, and Sharpen on the left, a 1 ounce rate of Sharpen. And again, very, very quick burn down, very complete burn down, similar to AIM. So these two products were very similar. And then here is a 2x rate, so a 2 ounce rate of AIM or of Sharpen to compare to that 1 ounce rate. And then the last slide I wanted to show you is this. This is Velpar Alpha Max on the left. So this is it's got hexazinone, which is the active in Velpar, plus diuron. It's one that it's a herbicide that we commonly think of as when we apply it late, it's gonna
yellow up the alfalfa and cause some harm. And this is just in comparison to sharpen over on your left. The rest of the trial was combinations of Velpar Alpha Max plus these other products to see how they perform together. And there wasn't anything crazy interesting to look at there. It seemed like they all played well together, and there wasn't anything synergistic or antagonistic between them. So